can't fool people. I call anybody on the telephone, and they know who I am before I can go to talk to them. What are you looking at?
Just looking at the cats and the willow furniture. Well, so anyway, you were talking about the house.
Well, I will start back at the beginning if you want to.
Okay. Let me sit here where... I'll move this back a little bit. Oh.
You don't look at me.
Huh?
You don't look at me.
I don't have to. I was going to show some stuff around here. Why don't you just talk?
Oh, it's going now?
Uh-huh.
Well, I said in the first place it was built by a man named Zedekiah Sims in 1857. And I guess a good comb of hair before I...
Oh, don't worry about it. You're fine.
Anyhow, I said I imagine it was built with slave labor. I know because they didn't have... somebody told me that there's another house in town. I've got, you know, that sugar bowl or spoon holder. When Mama went to keeping house, she bought a spoon holder and a sugar bowl, and
I'm going to turn this off and
yeah.
see if that helps.
And
I don't know if it does or not.
that's okay. I don't care whether you see me or not.
Okay.
I'm kind of hoarse. And she bought them from a man named, had a racket store, they called it. It was kind of a dime store. And he built a house off down over here, and somebody said that had been under both houses. They figured the same people must have built them. So I know that if it was built in 57, they had to have had slaves. And I imagine they built it with slave labor. Now they haul the lumber. it's what do you call it? Won't rot.
A cypress.
Cypress. It's built out of cypress, and it was hauled up here from Jefferson by ox cart. Now that's a heck of a lot of. Think how long it took to get it up here by ox cart. Anyway, I imagine they made the brick on the place. Because when I was a little girl, you could dig anywhere in the yard and you'd dig up brick. And I used to love to take a piece of the brick, you know, and rub it and get brick dust. Some of them would be yellow, and some of it would be red, some would be orange, and all the different colors. Anyhow, I've always felt like, I think there's a feeling about houses. And Mr. Williams that bought the house in '63, right in the middle of the Civil War, was interested in the children getting an education. And when he lived in the country, and he would take the children, before he moved into Bonham, he'd bring in any children in the neighborhood and try and teach them himself. And then when he moved to Bonham, he was instrumental in bringing Uncle Charlie Carlton to Bonham, and that started Carlton College. Well, then later on, there was Judge Clark that lived here. Well, there was a nigger cabin out here in the back, had 2 rooms and a stacked chimney in the middle. And he had a little school there. And T.T.'s mother went to school.
Now, was this Clark or was this Williams?
This is Clark. I
Okay.
said Judge Clark came here later.
Right.
Now, Williams had a general store. It was a pretty store. I've seen pictures of it. It had columns in the front, just like the columns on the house out here. And, of course, he sold a lot to the Confederate Army. And then immigrants coming through, going west, would come in here in need of supplies. And he'd let them have the things, whether they had the money to pay or not. And eventually, and then the Confederate Army bought a lot of stuff from him and never did pay, and it bankrupted him. So, he left Bonham. What do you call it? He went to California. I don't know whatever became of him. I just don't know that. I think at one time I did hear and know what became of him, but I don't now. But anyway, then, of course, there have been a number of people. There have been two judges that have lived here. One was Judge Clark, and the other was Judge, can't think of his name. Anyhow, Judge Clark, as I said, maintained, and let me tell you, Judge Clark's daughter later became Dean of Women of North Texas University and was Dean of Women for years there. Well, now, he maintained a school here. Then later, the lady that my mother bought the house from was named Lawrence, and she had a daughter named Ruby. Ruby, and anyhow, Ruby was a musician. But she went to Dallas, and she taught music over in Dallas. Then we moved here, and my sister taught music for years here. And then I came along behind her, and I taught music 60 some odd years. Now that's a long time. Learning has been going on in this house.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's a love of a place, I think. Lots of things have happened here.
How long have you lived here?
I moved here in 1999. I told you 63 years, isn't that right? That's the longest anybody's ever lived here. And of course, I've lived here alone 30 some odd years. Mother died in 54. I've lived here all that time alone. She and I were here alone a lot of the time. Sister, Mom and I were here, the three of us together, a long time. And then, on top of that, after my sister built her home and moved away, one night, Uncle Ashley, or Aunt Sally, had remarked the superintendent, Mr. I.W. Evans of the schools here, was over there visiting him. I think he and Uncle Ashley were related in some way. And Aunt Sally just remarked how sorry she felt for my mother, because my mother was scary. And she was miserable after it was just Mom and me here. And after they went home, Mr. Evans told Miss Evans, he said, I wonder if Ms. Biard would consider keeping some of the teachers. Now, there were two widows over on 5th Street, had big houses, and they kept a bunch of teachers, both people. So he phoned her the next day and asked her if she would consider it. Mama thought teachers would be ideal for a growing child. Well, she was wrong, of course, because they're not. But anyway, after that, we kept 8 teachers every year.
Why weren't they?
Huh?
Why weren't they ideal?
Because they're just like anybody else, and they can have just as crazy ideas as anybody. Teachers, just because they're teachers, don't have to be special people. Don't have to be awful nice people. Sometimes they're not. And we got every time that there was, I suppose. But my mother would take 8, put 2 in each room upstairs. And anyway, to make a long story short, we did that for many years. And the time I got in high school, I hated it. I didn't want those teachers here. And wherever my mother was the type of person that people liked to be with, and wherever she went, all the teachers would come down at night and sit with Mama. And I don't care what part of the house she went in, that's where they went. And there was no privacy. So I didn't like it. And I kept fussing about it, so then by the time I was in high school, we kind of quit. Eventually, before I graduated, we did. And anyway, I remember when we had the first bathtub in town. That's something.
What was that?
Well, I don't know.
Was it after you moved in? I'm sure.
In this house.
Yeah.
I said this house
Right.
had the first bath.
Right.
And they didn't count on having it. They didn't have bathrooms when it was built, you know. So they just closed off an end of the hall upstairs and didn't even go up to the ceiling. Just had a it was open up above it. Boy, it was cold in there in the wintertime. And then they started to put in sewerage. And Mr. Elkin, Paul Elkin, Forrest Lynn's father, was the man who laid the sewerage or planned it, or I don't know whether he didn't do the work, but he oversaw it. You know, he was an engineer.
And he was in Midland at the time, right?
No, he was in Bonham. That's where Jack and Forrest Lynn met each other.
Well, I mean, Paul Elkin was living in Midland, though, wasn't he?
That was their home. They had a ranch out there.
Right.
But anyhow, he did that sort of thing too. That's how come him in Bonham. And he put Forrest Lynn and Kitty Bell in school here at Carleton College. And I remember they used to have things up at Carleton College. Mom and Papa would go, and the Carletons were awful good friends of our family, you know, too. Anyhow, we'd go up there, and Cousin Sally Jo would come get me, and she'd take me around, and she'd say, "Now, who is this?" I said, "Cousin Sadie Jo." And she thought that was funny. So it started me saying, though, Cousin Sally Jo. Well, then there was Miss Grace, who was a wonderful art teacher, and Miss Howard. And I always said Cousin Sally Jo, Miss Grace, and Miss Howard. And they was the sisters. And one day Miss Howard asked me, she says, "Don't you think that you could say Miss Ella?" I said, "No, I don't think so. I've been saying Miss Howard too long." You know, you start calling a person one thing, it's hard to change. But that's what I did. I called Cousin Sally Jo, Miss Grace, and Miss Howard. Anyway, I can't think of anything to say about the house right now.
I can turn it off. We can start again later.
Well, do it. 'Cause don't...
Ah. Meow. Meow. Where's some other kitty cats? Ooh, I see one over there. Meow. I think they're afraid to have their picture taken. Off the back of the property line. It's fixing to go back further, except it's not a big old dog. And a real nasty looking cubba type. Goes to the basement downstairs. There's that. Around the front. All boys over the rock. I like that chair.
one time. Brother gave me, who was over here one day, and he gave me $10. He said, now, Virginia, I want you to spend it on yourself. He's during Mama's last illness, I think. And I had a chair I taught him, and it needed upholstering, so I had it upholstered. And when he got through, I said, do you have enough? And he had enough left to put a new seat in this little chair.
That's a pretty
This came from
chair.
Grandma Gardner's. And I think Sweet Little Cabaret. Oh. Now don't take me crippling around.
Okay.
That's an old, that and those two old tables of Mama's. I think they're beautiful.
They really are.
Mama didn't. Belle thought, she thought that was the tackiest one she ever saw, that one down there with the two-tier, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with twisted legs, see?
Oh. Oh, that one.
Uh-huh.
I like it.
I do too. And this was a old washstand. It's walnut. See over here?
Uh-huh.
And I took it and refinished it and put it in here. It's walnut. We had had it in the kitchen for years. And that's a washstand that was upstairs in the bathroom. That's right there by the door.
That's walnut too, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and I refinished it.
That's a washstand.
It was a washstand. It was in the bathroom upstairs. I refinished it. I brought it downstairs and refinished it and didn't put it back in there. Oh, I put a washstand in there, but not that one.
Hmm. It's neat.
I told you this was Chris's. This came from Grandmother's.
Do you want to go in the music room?
Hmm?
Can we go in the music room?
Oh yeah, but you can't see things in there very good, as messed up as it is. You'll have to do this.
Well, what kind of
again
go?
sometime. Huh?
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Belle gave me this little table on Christmas. I had seen it down. Oh, I want to tell you about those birds over there.
Which birds?
Those that you said were road runners.
Oh, okay.
These
Oh,
birds
yeah.
right here, I think they're beautiful. These.
Uh-huh.
Whether your Kodak will pick those up or not.
Oh, sure.
Aren't they pretty?
Yeah.
Well, I went into, I told you, I bought a doll, and Belle was dressing. Sister could dress the prettiest dolls you ever saw. She was dressing that doll for me to give to to Titi's granddaughter. And anyhow, she ran out of something she had to have, so I had to go down and, oh, I was tired. I felt like I could not go downtown and get it. It was on Saturday, but I went to town and got it. And I went in at Barra's, it's a jewelry store down there, and I saw those birds. Belle had told Mary Louise if I ever came in and wanted anything, to let her know. So when I saw those birds, I said, oh, I want those. And I said, I'll be back in a minute. Well, as soon as I left, she called Belle and said, Miss Belle, Virginia was just in here and she wanted some birds and that are here. Belle says, all right, I'll take them. So Mary Louise took them, put them on. Well, a few minutes, I went back in. The birds were gone. I said, oh, Mary Louise, don't tell. She told me, though, when I said, well, Virginia, there's a woman in here, and she wanted those birds. And says, if she doesn't take them, but says, I've got to save them till she turns them down. Well, when I went back in, she said, well, Virginia, I'm sorry, but says, right after you left, she came and got the birds. I was sick. Well, when Christmas came, and they brought the package down Christmas Eve over to Belle's, and had it all wrapped up so you couldn't even see the Christmas wrappings. Belle undid it and put it under the Christmas tree, and she says, I can't wait for you to unwrap that. Tried to get her to let me unwrap it right then, but she wouldn't let me. Christmas morning, Belle was more interested by unwrapping that. And when I took them out, she says, the idea. And And she mentioned how much they were. I forgot and got to. It was scandalous. $75 or $85. I don't know which. Anyhow, good deal. She says, imagine paying that much for those. She was so disgusted. She didn't want, and I was elated at getting them. I thought they were just beautiful. I still think they're pretty. Don't you?
Yes.
I think they're just pretty as they can be. But she'd look at them. She was so disgusted. But I thought they were beautiful. And oh, there's that little. No, it's not. I don't see that handkerchief vase. Bowl. I've been kind of looking around for it. Now I know it's here. Oh, here it is. Did you ever see one?
I don't think so. It's a handkerchief bowl.
It's Venetian glass. I gave Nana a handkerchief bowl. It was amber. Anyhow, I think they're beautiful. But what I started to say is, it just dawned on me that Wedgwood plaque that I had of Beethoven isn't here. And I believe I did that. I believe I gave it to Margaret. Now, I hope to heaven I did. If I didn't, it's gone. That's those boxes I found. And that's some bright stuff that was on here. It was just the bright. And these were some of that glass that he had put in a... Now that is worth photographing. That was that's been broken off. It came on out here. That was, oh, you know, not a paper cutter of Papa's. I've seen him cut the many.
And someone broke it rocking on it.
Yeah, Tonsi did. And here's your family. There's Jack, Parslin. There's Jack and Parslin, and they.
That's a great picture.
Isn't it sweet? I wouldn't take for it. Here's a picture of Jack. And he was married, he and Parslin. He was sitting in front of this house down here. And that was a horse. And that was Collie. Honey, he loved Collie better than anything. And, and across the street was Miss Dr. Barton's barn.
Is that here in Bonham?
Yeah, it was the house right back here behind where Jack and Parks lived, where we originally lived.
That's the house?
No,
behind
that's the barn across the street.
Okay, okay.
And that's out in the yard. See, Collie, he's holding his arms like this, and Collie's jumping through them.
Yeah.
And here's that thing. Oh, let's move this. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. See that? There's that pin.
Uh-huh.
You turn that inside part, and there's a picture on the other side of Grandfather.
Well, that's interesting.
And things are so cluttered up, you can't see what's here. Now. Anyway. Oh, here are these little mule chairs.
Which ones?
There's three of them in here. Here's one of them. Gosh, don't get all that stuff behind it.
Okay, just get the chair. And what about this chair?
These are. See the rawhide seat?
Oh yeah.
Papa brought a. Oh, it's a long story. Brought an empty car back. Stopped in Paris. Here's another one. Now this one, he didn't get to fix the seat, and he fixed it. This one's a little this one, and this one over here. You can't get the, are very
Yeah.
much alike, but there's a little difference. Now the slats on this are straight, and the slats on the others are kind of curved, see?
Uh-huh.
But they're homemade.
Oh, good.
I told you.
Yeah.
That little chair in the music room. Those creases.
This lampshade doesn't look so awful on this. It's not great, but it looks okay.
What?
That gold lampshade, it doesn't look too awful.
It's a little bit big.
Yeah, it's a little big. So where'd you get those peach blow vases? Okay.
I bought them from, you know what I paid for them?
What?
$3.50 piece.
$3.50?
Ain't that ridiculous? And I had a, now wait a minute, let's see. It's $3.50 a piece for the vases. And I bought a tumbler. It was peach blow too. And I bought all 3 pieces for, I think, $10. And the next day, the wife of the man who was putting on the sale called me and said that her husband said, see, he was selling a vase. Oh, I got 2 tumblers. He was selling a vase and a tumbler together as a carafe set. Well, any fool would know that wasn't a carafe.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I told him, I said, well, Glenn, they don't go together. Oh, yes, they do. And so I bought the 2 vases and the 2 tumblers for $10. And he told me, he says, I'm telling you, Mr. Jim, says, if you think that's too much, says, she'll make you a price on it. And I said, what did she make me a price for? Anyhow, I was ashamed of him. I said, I'll give you $10 for it, and brought him home. The next day, his wife called me and said, Jim, Glenn told me you didn't really want those vases. Those tumblers, says, I collect tumblers, I'd like to have them. I said, Mer, you wouldn't pay me what those are worth. She says, what are they worth? I said, I really don't know. Well, and I commenced telling her what it was. Well, honey, she came down here and got some magazines I had and took them home with her. She like to die because they had let them go for that, don't you know?
Yeah.
Well, I kept them, but I gave her one. I said, well, she had given me lots of things that from time to time that she didn't have to, she didn't. So I gave her one. And then, let's see, what did I do with the other? I gave her one. Oh, I got the other one broken. It made me sick. Anyhow, I got it broken. And that frog, can you see that frog up yonder?
Yeah.
Let me move that little old Avon thing in front of it out. That frog is older than almost as old as I am. Aunt Sally gave it to Papa for his Christmas present. And Aunt Sally wouldn't do. You ought to have it where you can actually see it good.
That's really cute.
Well, I had bought that
Do I need to move? There you go.
down where you can see it. And she gave this to. And you know, Papa, coming home from work one day, found a, can you see it?
Yeah.
Found a blue jay feather, and he stuck it in the pipe. Looked like smoke coming out of the pipe. Anyhow, this is soft, you see.
Yeah.
Well, it's broken. Here, it was broken in 2.
Yeah.
And Aunt Sally and Uncle Ashley ran the, can you see it good?
Yeah, I can see it pretty well. That light behind it's kind of backlighting it, but it still looks real good. That's neat.
I just love it. But it made Belle so mad she liked it. Because Aunt Sally had picked it up out in the alley. They threw it out because it was broken.
Mm-hmm.
She picked it up and glued it together and gave it to Papa for a Christmas present. And here it is. More than 50 years later,
Well, a lot longer than that.
and still in existence.
It's more than 80 years later.
Yes. Well, yes, it is more than 80 years, because I was just... The bottom got broken off of that. That was a beautiful little vase. There's a little amber one up here somewhere. I don't know where. This is a pretty thing. You can see it. This is sweet. That came from Grandma Garland's. Can you see what it is? It's a little hand holding a cornucopia.
Uh-huh.
Isn't it sweet?
Yeah. Oh.
That's just Avon. Anyhow, this was my mother's. I think it's beautiful. See?
What's it called?
Amberina. Isn't that pretty?
Mm-hmm.
Now that's old. And I've had people tell me that's the first piece they ever saw that had a lid to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it just never get broken, I guess. That came from Grandmother Gardner's. Now, the time that I saw this over here, I recognized it for being at that pineapple.
Oh, right.
I realized it was Amberina, but it's old. I've had it a long time, but it isn't an antique. Now, this is an antique. See here? And it's pretty on the bottom even.
It's wonderful.
Anyhow. Ooh, that's Amberina too, but it isn't an antique. But I think it's pretty. The crop.
Sure is.
And isn't this pretty? This is a little liqueur. Now that needs polishing. That silver doesn't show up. I don't know if they make it in. Can you see the silver on it?
Yeah.
But
Kind of hard to see, but you can see the design.
but it needs to be polished. Just like silver, it tarnishes.
Mm-hmm.
It is silver. And there was a time when they had a lot of that glass with silver on it. That way. Whew. And this thing I'm leaning on, I'll get up and let you take a picture of it. This is well over 100 years old, and it came from the Abernathy's.
That table?
No, this covered it here.
Oh.
And they make them in the Appalachian Mountains. You know, I don't know who got it, where it came from, or anything about it. I just know that Bill had it, and it was in strips. And Mama was there one day, and Bill was undoing the bed, and she had it between the springs and her mattress. Mama died. She said, Bill, the idea. She said, I didn't know that's what you had done with that. So Mama took it and brought it home, and they didn't have ivory flakes then, but she took ivory soap and scraped it off and made flakes out of it. And then she washed it in that, and then she put it out on the grass early in the morning with the dew still on the grass, and left it out there till it was dried. That's how she dried it. And it took all that iron rust off of it. And there was some campfire girls coming to look at the house one day just to go through it, and I thought they'd pay more attention to it than they did to water on the duck's back. And I hung it on the banister here for a long time just so people could see it, you know. I thought it interesting. This is Papa's old office chair over here. And wait a minute,
Yeah.
and it's what they call a captain's chair, you know. And when he brought it from the office, brought it here and made his office upstairs, he brought that to sit. And the table they had is upstairs in the hall. It's so much on his right now you couldn't take his picture. But it had felt all over the top of it. And then after he was gone and we were using it down in the kitchen, I cut the felt off and just left it. We used it for breakfast table a while.
The rain's lit up a little bit.
It's not raining at all, is it?
Nuh-uh.
What are you taking a picture of now?
Oh, I was just looking outside.
And taking a picture?
Sure.
Wasting your film?
This isn't much of a waste.
Well, it is a waste too. I think it'd be better if you were taking a picture of the stairway. I think that's beautiful.
I took some pictures of it earlier.
Well, you didn't take it with all this stuff in front of it, did you?
I moved some of it.
Well, I hope you did. I just had
I'm gonna try to move back just a little bit.
Well, let me move these things so you... Oh, let me get this trash out of the way. I never took pictures in my life if there weren't the one trash around.
Oh, it looks fine. Yeah, I've never been able to get back quite far enough to just get the full effect of this thing.
I'll tell you what I did. I laid down on the floor. I never will forget it. I laid down on the floor, and what I did with that picture. Now wait, let me get all that stuff out of here.
No, it looks fine.
None of those rings and things, you don't want that over there. Please. That's when I got, how come he with that little baby chair in there? He'd sit in this chair, and he'd